If you're a home service business owner trying to break $1 million a year in revenue, there's probably a couple of things that you believe that are keeping you stuck. After working with over 1,500 contractors just like yourself, we hear the same excuses every day. In this video, we're gonna break down the 7 lies that you tell yourself, why they're holding you back, and what the guys are actually doing that break $1 million a year. Number 1, my market sucks. Your market doesn't suck. You probably suck as the business owner. We hear time and time again that my market sucks, it's why I can't scale, it's why I can't do better. Most of the time, it's actually your business or you as the entrepreneur. People don't know you exist. If you were to survey 1,000 homeowners in your community, almost none of them would know that your business exists. It's really hard to dominate a market when none of your customers even know you do what you do. B, if somebody does find out that you do exist, what's gonna happen is they're gonna look at you and you're gonna look exactly like the cheap guy, right? No reviews, no face on the page, maybe a picture of an excavator or a skid, and you're confused why you can't make more money. What the real winners do is they make sure people find out that they exist, and when they find out that they exist, they actually have a brand so they don't complain about their market. I've never heard somebody that is profitably over $1 million complain about their market. One example about your market not sucking is we have a great contractor. His name's Austin Packard. When he met us, he was a smaller lawn and landscape guy in West Virginia, charging about $3,000 for a front yard install for landscaping. He's now at the point where he can comfortably charge 12 grand and not get told no and have customers be super happy about it. He maybe thought his market sucked when he could hardly get 3 grand for the project, and now he can get 12. And that is done by building an actual brand and having people find out that you exist. Number 2, I live off of word of mouth. You probably tell yourself you live off of word of mouth because you don't know the next steps to take that doesn't include just living off of word of mouth. The successful contractors, they build an actual brand and drive eyeballs to it so they can have consistent qualified lead flow to be able to have the margin to build their team to scale their business. Nobody over $1 million profitably is living consistently just off of word of mouth unless they go out into their community and actually manufacture word of mouth. When you say you live off word of mouth, but you have a Google with 10 reviews, a website that gets no leads, and a Facebook that has 100 followers and no face on the page, that's not living off of word of mouth. That's living off hope and desperation, and you're not a very good entrepreneur at this point. If you're telling yourself you're living off of word of mouth, what's probably happening is you're maybe working 80 hours a week. One week you have 7 phone calls, the next week you have none. You're not able to bid with an actual margin that allows you to have money left over to scale a real business, and business will feel like this forever. Successful contractors north of $1 million don't rely on word of mouth from their brother or their cousin down the street. What they do is they manufacture word of mouth by getting out in their community and telling their community what they do and how good they are at doing it. This doesn't come from you sitting on your couch scrolling reels at night saying that your market sucks and that you can just live off word of mouth and live off the inconsistent lead flow that is keeping you under $1 million. A great example of this is we were recording this video and the owner of 10 franchises of Dave's Hot Chicken just pulled up into our building's driveway and brought us chicken. That is manufacturing word of mouth, not him hoping that I find out that he exists by driving down the street. He pulled up, he introduced himself, he gave our entire team chicken, and what's gonna happen from that is we gave him a shout out on this video, another video, and all of our contractors are gonna wanna stop into there for lunch. So it's not that word of mouth doesn't work, and word of mouth are normally very qualified like leads, but what happens is people think that they can't go out and manufacture it, and they can't actually turn word of mouth positive for them instead of just waiting for the calls to come in to them. Number 3, there's always a cheaper guy. There's always a cheaper guy because you look like the cheap guy and you're doing nothing to differentiate yourself from the competition that is bidding against you. So a great example of that would be if you go to bid this landscape for $15,000 and 2 other contractors come and they bid it for $12,000, but they have more reviews, they get back to me quicker, and they provide a rendering of what the landscape will look like, I'm probably gonna pick the guy for $12,000 rather than you for $15,000. And you're just gonna continue to go, why am I getting underbid? Why can I never win jobs? Instead of taking that responsibility yourself and saying, what could I do better? Or how could I ask my customer what is happening and why am I not winning those jobs against the cheap guy? Great example of this would be a McDonald's burger is $3, a Five Guys burger is 15. The Five Guys people don't just complain about losing customers to McDonald's. They have a different product and service, and different people are willing to pay for that product and service. So some of the reason you're getting there's a cheaper guy is you look like the cheap guy, you sell like the cheap guy, and you probably have the cheap guy leads, like from a paid ads agency that's bringing you the least qualified lead possible. I'll give you a great example of people don't always pick the cheap guy. We just paid to have this building painted, and I got 3 quotes. I actually picked the most expensive quote by a large margin, like multiple, like $5,000 to $6,000 more expensive because they had more reviews. They turned around the bid quicker. They gave me a shorter time frame for the time that the project would be done. The guys north of $1 million, like the guy painting our building, they act like that. They don't complain. Number 4, I can't get the tape off. Nobody wants to work or nobody wants to work for you and you can't find employees. There's a couple of reasons people don't want to work for you or don't want to stay working for you. First is you have no brand. You look like the cheaper guy and nobody good is going to want to work for the shitty brand. If you have Google and you have 10 reviews on that Google and one says you stole money, how do you think you're going to get anybody actually competent that will help you grow your business to work for you? Nobody's going to want to work for you. Number 2 is you probably suck as a boss. You don't have any onboarding, you don't have any company policy, you don't have any SOPs, and you don't set any expectations with them. And on top of that, you're showing up hungover, sleeping in 2 hours. Your guys have been at the job site for 3 hours and you're still sleeping. They're FaceTiming you, calling you, you won't pick up the phone. How do you think that you're gonna get anybody worth a shit to wanna continue to work for you and help you build your dream when they're doing more than you are doing? The guys north of $1 million do a couple of things different. They have a brand that everybody wants to work for. The brand is known around town. You don't have reviews that say you stole money. Everybody knows you exist, and they're proud to work for that business. That attracts A-level people that aren't going to show up late or not show up at all. B is the entrepreneur and you as a boss are going to have things like SOPs in place so the employees know what they're actually doing when they go to a job site. It's not like patio over here or paint that building and you don't even give them the color to paint it, right? This is leading to employee turnover, nobody worth the crap wanting to stay working for you, and you giving yourself this excuse every week or to your wife or to your spouse that nobody wants to work and this is why I can't grow my business. Nobody wants to work for you because you're paying the cheaper guy wages because you have no brand and you have no leads to be able to charge the expensive guy prices. What happens when you actually have a brand and you actually have qualified lead flow is you can start to charge bigger and higher prices so you can afford to pay A-level people. You can't assume that somebody for 18 or 19 or $25 an hour is going to be to the level of you as the business owner. They're not making 100 grand a year. They're not making any of that money. So how do you expect them to show up and do the work as good as you would do it when you set no expectations and you pay like crap? What you need to do is you need to build the brand and the lead flow so you can afford to be able to pay people that are actually worth a shit. So a personal example would be we have 13 people on our team at BCBA. They're all paid well. They all show up and they all work hard and sometimes honestly outwork myself. But the reason that they're willing to do this is because we have a huge brand that their dreams fit underneath. We're able to pay very well. We set good expectations and we always communicate with them. Number 5, my work speaks for itself. We hear this all the time for business owners that make less than $1 million a year. We expect you to do good work. That's not a differentiator anymore. It's not 1980. Doing good work is going to be expected by the homeowners that are going to want to pay you the top tier price that you think you're worth. But what you should do is if you actually believe that you do the best work and the cheaper guys do worse work, you should feel an ethical responsibility to go tell everybody in your market that you do exist, your solution is there, and you should give a shit about growing your business so those homeowners don't get taken advantage of by one of those cheaper contractors that does the hack job work that you like to just sit behind your computer and complain about 24/7 instead of actually doing something about it by building the brand and telling people that you exist and then educating your customer. We see contractors all the time presenting quotes like give you an example. A guy says, oh, we do the best work. He shows up 7 days late to a bid for a lady for a $100,000 outdoor living space. The cheaper guy shows up the same day. You lost the job. It doesn't matter how good of work you do. Or you show up 7 days late, you take another 7 days to turn around the bid, and you submit it through QuickBooks at 2 a.m. The guy that does worse work than you shows up in a day, submits the bid the next day in person, and has a full visual rundown when presenting that bid, and you don't get that job. It's not 1980. You can't let your work speak for itself anymore. It's not a differentiator. If nobody knows your work exists, you won't be able to do the work for people. If you guys didn't know we exist, or the 750 contractors that we actively work with right now didn't know we exist, we wouldn't be able to service them because they wouldn't be able to pay us because they'd be stuck in their local market doing the same things that they started with before they met us. The guys north of 7 figures understand that there's a difference between letting their work speak for itself and doing amazing work, but also being good at the business. You could be the best welder, the best landscaper, or the best bathroom remodeler, but if none of the homeowners in your community know that your work is there, your work doesn't speak for itself because they don't even know you do exist. And how do you expect them to get saved from the cheaper hack job guy if you're not putting your best foot forward in the entrepreneurship side of the business to have them be saved before they go with the hack job? I think if you're giving yourself these excuses, especially my work speaks for itself, it's probably because you don't feel confident enough to go out and build the business side of your business, and you're just gonna stay stuck forever saying this to yourself or to your wife, trying to validate why you're stuck at 700K and why you're not at 3 million. Number 6, I don't want to grow too fast. This is just an excuse for you don't know how to fucking do business. There's no such thing as growing too fast if you're growing the right way and growing profitably. People will give this excuse because they don't know the next step to take. So they tell their friends, their buddy, their wife, oh, I don't want to grow too fast. We don't want more leads. We don't want more work. Again, comes back to ethical. If you think your work is the best, you should feel an ethical duty to try to grow so you can keep Kathy from going with the hack job guy that you talk shit about behind your phone. I don't want to grow too fast as a cop-out. Growing too fast is buying a bunch of stuff that you can't afford, hiring a bunch of unqualified labor, racking up a bunch of debt, having no money in the bank account, no brand, and no plan. That is what growing too fast is, and I'm 100% against that. Growing too fast or growing the right way is totally different. Growing the right way is building an actual brand, getting too many leads, having to turn people away, charging the right prices so you can afford to give back to your community, find the right level of people, then buy the right equipment before you go bankrupt. We have a ton of clients that come into us saying like, I don't want to grow too fast. Things already feel hectic at 500K, for example. But when you're showing the steps of how to grow and how to grow efficient, what happens is business can become actually easier at $1 million, 2 million, 3 million than it is at 500K. Because right now at 500K, you have no brand, you have no systems and processes, you don't have repeatable things, and you don't have good employees. So what happens is you do feel like you're growing too fast at that point, right? And it is hard. If you continue to run your business like that, you will never get north of $1 million because there's no order and it's complete chaos. And growing that way will not allow you to get above that revenue goal. I can't stand the I don't want to grow too fast because I don't think anybody ever would be opposed in going from 500K to 2 million if they actually were able to do it profitably and have systems and processes and people in place. I don't think there's a single entrepreneur that would be opposed to doing that. That's why I think that's just a full cop-out for you to feel better to your wife, your friend, your dad, is you say that because you don't know how to get to the next level faster. Number 7, nobody will do it as good as me. Nobody will do it as good as you because you don't pay enough, you don't have the right level of people, and you have no systems and processes in place. If you're scared to let an employee build a patio, do a remodel, or sell a job for you, it's probably because of a couple of things. First, you maybe don't have the right level of employee, right? Second, Sometimes you do have the right level of employee, but you're not giving them the guidance that they need to actually be the level of employee you need to be able to outsource things. I'll give you a great example. If you tell a guy patio over there and you give him no plans and you just say, go do it, what happens when he does it wrong and you chew his ass is he's gonna have no respect for you and not gonna wanna continue to work for you. And this is why you can't outsource. Sometimes also, you as the contractor, you don't know how to outsource or delegate because you hardly know what you're doing yourself. There's no process to what you do. So you feel really intimidated and scared to bring somebody in because you just shoot from the hip. People north of a million, what they do is they make things repeatable and they bring A-level people in and they can afford to pay the A-level people because they've built the brand, then built the lead flow, and they understand how to sell at a price that allows them to pay very competent people. And once they get them into the business, they actually give them, for example, full site plans with a full scope of work of what to do, how to do, and when to do it, with measurements, with the type of material they're installing, so that foreman, for example, can show up, know what he's doing, and go execute. When you try to delegate owner tasks to a foreman, what's going to happen is he's going to leave you a year later because he's going to feel like he's running the business and being underpaid. And then you're going to be pissed and sad. Nobody will do work as good as you because you're giving no actual direction. So a great example would be nobody can drive. Well, that's why they created street signs, stoplights, and things like this. So there's order to what actually should or shouldn't be going on the street to prevent a bunch of accidents. So a great example is if you were to drop 10 drivers into a city, and in that city there was no street signs, no parking lot lines or anything, people would be able to drive. If you dropped 100 drivers in with no street signs or anything, there would be chaos, there would be accidents, nobody would know what to do. This is what happens when you go from like 1 employee to 10 and nobody will do anything as good as you. It's because you're not giving them an actual repeatable process or anything that they can follow to do it like you do it. If you related to anything that I just said or you felt personally attacked, you should probably go look at the rest of our videos where we show you behind the scenes of us working with those thousands of contractors and us giving you more free examples that you can implement into your business to hopefully put you on a better track to succeed. As always, violent action towards the goal.